Welcome to Trek Trav, I'm Trav, and this is your Star Trek Picard Discovery discussion of a century. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Let's get into it. So when Star Trek Discovery aired and Picard was announced, people were super excited for Picard, really disappointed with Discovery. Not everyone, but a lot of people were. Because Discovery was a significantly different tone, Picard was all of those nostalgia berries thrown into one. And over time, this has been sort of resolved. Picard eventually had to go back to the well in Picard Season 3 by bringing back all the TNG cast. And Discovery eventually found its path by moving forward to the 32nd century. Now, if you talk to fans of either of these shows, generally they will say that Picard Season 1 and 2, terrible. Discovery, on the other hand, has a split group of fans. Fans who really enjoyed Seasons 1 and 2 but don't like the later seasons, 3 and 4, and fans who really like 3 and 4 but don't like 1 and 2. And then there's people who just don't like Michael Burnham. The fortunateness of Picard is that it came with all of the understanding of the TNG crew, particularly Picard. Discovery had to set up something new, something that appealed to new audiences and a younger audience, because Discovery is very much aimed at a younger audience. Picard is aimed at people my age, 30 later. And what we had was people turning around and going, oh, we don't like Picard because he's doing this and he's doing that. And I personally thought Picard Season 1 was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. And at least they were trying something new with the character. Patrick Stewart talked about how he wanted something new, how he wanted to do something different with the character, something fresh. Discovery, on the other hand, was doing new and fresh things every week, but people didn't like that it felt very different to the Star Trek they'd known from the TNG era. Because Discovery had had a whole heap of the Kelvin Timeline films style shoved into it. And people's main gripe is Sonequa Martin Green, who plays Michael Burnham, being just the all-round, she can do this, she can do that, she's a hero, she cries all the time, apparently that's a problem, she apparently acts like God, and Picard, who in his own series is renowned kind of like he's amazing and a god, except he got told to go get fucked pretty much in the first season. We have an interesting juxtaposition of characters. Picard comes with all the love of the TNG era. Burnham comes with all of the hate for that change, that big change, with one key difference. Star Trek, in order to succeed into the future, needed to shift forward and change. And these two shows are opposites, and they explain the reasons together. So, when we take a look at Star Trek Discovery, it is very much about pulling a new audience in for the first season. Season 2 brings in that nostalgia. People started to turn around a little bit with Anson Mount coming in, and all the love going to Strange New Worlds seemed to temper some of that vocality. But they still weren't winning, especially in regards to the spore drive and Michael Burnham, so they shifted the show to the 32nd century. Continuity did not matter anymore, so now all people had to do was complain about the focus on Michael Burnham as a character. Now, Picard focused on Picard as a character. It straight in went and did that. So why did Discovery get all the flack, but Picard not? Now, once again, it comes down to nostalgia goggles. People hated the first 2 seasons of Picard because first season particularly tried something new, a new story in a similar universe. Season 2 introduced a lot of those older storylines, Guinan and Q, the Borg, and the Romulans and bits from TOS, sort of injecting nostalgia in there so people go, oh, I know things. They mentioned the Bell Riots from DS9. And Discovery went into the 32nd century and we didn't know anything. It was creating its whole new version of this Star Trek universe. And people, once again, focused on Michael Burnham. Why is she the focus of every story? Because Star Trek Discovery is a product of modern television, in that it started pretty much with things like House and Monk, and then with the superhero shows, you're focusing in on one specific character, and that's how they write TV now. There's one central character with a supporting cast. It's a superhero motif. Doctor Who did very similar. The Doctor in the original series was the central character, but he was never pushed to be the hero of the story or like the big amazing person of the story, whereas you watch New Doctor Who, and New Doctor Who, he is the action hero. And that is what happened with Star Trek Discovery. Michael Burnham became that action hero who could do no wrong. The difference being that Discovery as a whole was dealing with feelings and emotions and discovering oneself. And the whole story of Discovery is about characters finding themselves, particularly Michael Burnham. It's about Michael finding herself. Picard, on the other hand, is what I want to do with myself after this. Now, Patrick Stewart was executive producer on Star Trek Picard. He really wanted to do something new. He'd done the character for so long, doing something new was important. But what we had with the introduction of Terry Matalas, of whom, if you go to Facebook, is the god of Star Trek. He is the epitome of what everyone wants in Star Trek, and Alex Kurtzman is evil. Most of the differences in Star Trek Discovery were done by Brian Fuller in the beginning. He wanted to change the Klingons. He wanted to update the look. But the fall goes to Alex Kurtzman. And it's really weird how he's always brought up when the bad things happen, but never when the good things happen. For example, Strange New Worlds, in which it is a nostalgia show. Discovery in this whole new tenure of Star Trek is the number one for coming up with new stories or coming up with new ways to tell old stories. Picard, unfortunately, by season 3, turned into a nostalgia fest of just popping in references. We had the entire TNG crew, a DS9 storyline, we had a First Contact S storyline at the end, the Enterprise D pop up, we had characters reference, Tuvok comes back, we get a Kirk flashback, like everything was, even the title sequence was referencing something in the series, like it was a nostalgia bait. And what do we get? Everyone turning around and saying, this is amazing, particularly, and I want to stress this enough, the older fan base, people sort of my age and up, or maybe a little down, but mainly up, just obsessing over this version of Star Trek because it resembled what they knew and loved when they were younger. Discovery, when you go to platforms which have a younger demographic, TikTok, I would say Instagram, and Clappers and all of those media sites, Discovery speaks to the younger, more diverse group of people. Discovery actually makes tons of money. So this year, we got the announcement that Discovery is being cancelled and Picard ended last year. The interesting thing about this is Discovery is ending on a story based on an episode of TNG called The Chase. And you can't help but sit there and go, with Discovery, yes, they reference the past. Yes, the past, especially season 2, you have Pike and you have Spock and you have Una. But Discovery also finds new ways to make those characters personal. And the funny thing is if you look at season 3 of Picard, or even 1 and 2 of Picard, it's very much about Picard's emotions, Picard's feelings, character moments, character drama, like the reason the Borg and the Changelings are brought back in season 3 is so that those fans feel something for those characters. Discovery, on the other hand, has to build up this emotional connection because it's going somewhere new, it's doing something new. It doesn't want to placate to the audience, it wants to be the fresh show. Discovery, although doing only 5 seasons, has been around for 7 years. As long as TNG was, obviously with fewer episodes because streaming. If you look at statistics, Discovery is performing excellently. It gets the ratings, it's top 10 in Australia, it's top on Paramount, and it's top in ratings in general. And this is the first time we can actually measure that because they've put a new system in. So Discovery is doing damn well. I don't see the reason for cancelling other than fresh subscribers for Starfleet Academy. And believe me, they're going to be using pretty much all of Discovery sets for Starfleet Academy. It's just a cheaper cast. Picard, on the other hand, is one of those shows where it was emotionally, it was pretty much the same as Discovery. They were all showing their emotions, they were all having feelings. The difference being is we didn't have a woman lead, a woman of color lead. We didn't have trans characters. We had a lesbian couple, and that's one lesbian couple of whom broke up in season 3. So what we got was not infinite diversity and infinite combinations. What we got is the same shit you've seen before, but new. Whereas Discovery has stood by its views on the future, which is everyone is accepted, everyone is welcomed, and everyone has feelings. It may have lacked on some of the character development for the lower cast members, but Discovery remains fresh. I definitely think if you look at both of these shows, if you want to commend a show on doing something new, you're going to Discovery. If you want a show that has interesting twists on old themes, Discovery. If you want new themes and new ways of telling a story, Discovery. Picard was the show for the old fans, and it's Terry Matalas. Like, look, he came back, he got people excited about Picard, but he also took out the soul of the IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combination, to do that. Whereas Discovery has firmly maintained that throughout its stories, no matter whether it's dark, no matter whether it's light, no matter whether it's one character or another, it's interactions, but it also accepts your emotions, your feelings, and how you deal with these things. Picard, they do exactly the same thing in terms of their emotions and how they express them, except for Burnham cries. You frequently see on Facebook that Michael Burnham is a Jesus-like character. Michael Burnham cries too much. Michael Burnham's too emotional. Michael Burnham's too unprofessional. The difference being is that it's an earlier time in Star Trek. She's from the 23rd century. You watch Captain Kirk, he cries at every woman he meets and has feelings for in every episode. He makes bad decisions. He does stupid things. But people forget that. Why? Michael Burnham being a woman, and I partially feel in a way it's kind of Kate Mulgrew's fault with Janeway, is in that she never really expressed emotion in that way. But Michael Burnham is a character that is a normal person. She has feelings, she gets hurt, she gets happy, and when you see her be betrayed after a lot of episodes, she might cry. People cry, but what people have a problem with always seems to stem around the female characters. Michael Burnham, Tilly, as soon as she comes back for season 5, they're talking about her weight. With Burnham, she's not strong enough, she's not being able to do this. I think what Star Trek has a problem with is sexism. And I certainly think that Star Trek has a problem with a little bit of colour. In terms of diversity, like the older fans don't preach the edict. Not all of them, obviously. I am a firm supporter of the LGBTQIA, firm supporter of boosting other ethnicities in media, otherwise it's just boring. And Picard is the perfect reference to this, where it went back to the old format of the 90s. But in terms of how these things are done, I think Discovery will be like DS9, and to be honest, is very similar. Cisco became a literal god at the end of that series. Michael Burnham hasn't done anything near that, but she's getting blamed for it. Cisco committed war atrocities. No one went near it. Jack killed, in Star Trek Picard Season 3, killed a bunch of people. No one mentioned it. He was controlled. He made a valid choice. He made a choice in himself to go to the Borg at the end of that season and kill people, including his mother. I'll argue with you on that. In terms of Picard and Discovery, you have the two spaces of the fandom. Because believe me, the younger audience loves Star Trek Discovery, represented by its ratings, represented by its demographics, and you can see it on any site you go to. I go on Facebook to promote my videos. Star Trek Picard videos do better on the older platforms. YouTube, a Star Trek Picard video will do better than a Star Trek Discovery video because it's an older platform. And it's interesting, like, and I'm sure you've seen it too. Facebook, people will just come in, and you mention Tilly. She's overweight, she's put on weight. They'll mention Michael, oh, she cries too much. Oh, she's the worst captain in history. She's not a captain. Michael earned her way up to being a captain through saving the universe and helping everyone around her and be her. In fact, this season, she's become almost the perfect captain. I still have issues with some airiness in her breath, but that's just me. But she has been a great captain this season. Saru was a great captain. We have some great stories in Discovery. Star Trek Picard ended on them rehashing old ideas and showing us old faces and just not doing very much. There was not a lot of thought into it other than how much can we shove into 10 episodes and people will go, oh my god. So next time you take a look at Star Trek of this area, the Alex Kurtzman area I'll call it, you definitely want to take a look at Star Trek Discovery again with fresh eyes and look at what it achieves and what it goes for. It's not perfect by any means, but it is certainly the most original and best Star Trek show of this era. Strange New Worlds at a close second. Picard I would rate below Prodigy, like at the bottom. Anyways, I've been Trek Trav. If you have any comments, you want to argue with me, I will answer any comment you have. Make sure to like and share, and I'll see you next time. Well, maybe